warm welcome to all new and loyal viewers of the YouTube channel Zonneglossis. Welcome to my Book of Light. Let me introduce myself. My name is Kersten. I've been working as a paranormal researcher at Zonneglossis since 2004. I'm a healer, mental and deep trance medium. Since 3 years I developed step-by-step physical mediumship in the experimental home circle Terra Mystica in Almere, a place in the Netherlands. Tonight I welcome some participants of our home circle via Zoom. Unfortunately, the virus does not allow us to be physically together yet. So welcome, my dear friends. Our weekly seances are currently on Zoom, and although it's very different, they're experimental seances as well, they are educational and successful for all of us. Henny posts weekly reports on the Zonneglossis blog, and often it goes with photos, so have a look there. Besides that, you are also welcome to view some research results on the Zonneglossis YouTube channels, and you can have a look at different playlists. My 2 books are currently being translated and revised by a wonderful Unexpected Possibility in English. So we're waiting for that as well. My dear friend, we wait for Muegge, the great physical medium of our time. A very warm welcome, Kai, to my Book of Light. Welcome again.
Absolutely.
And welcome.
A pleasure.
I welcome some members of our home circle, Terra Mystica, who are on Zoom listening with us. And
Yeah, I want to say hello to all of them.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. They will love that. Dear Kai, you're a famous physical medium from Hanau in Germany, and I'm absolutely delighted to speak to you again. And please introduce yourself, Kai.
Oh yes, thank you very much. I would love to do that. I'm Kai. Since I'm 15, I am holding evenings in which a very traditional form of spirituality is taking place. It's the spirituality of manifestations, which was for a long time pushed to the sides of Western spirituality, and in the 90s it had a big revival movement. And in the meantime, there are so many successful circles and mediums, unfortunately, not necessarily public. But we have contact with so many powerful circles with ectoplasm, with apportation, with levitation, with most complex freeings to make mediums free, make them free from their binds in amazing ways. The Vinci Circle in Switzerland at the moment is experimenting amazingly with letting mediums being really complexly bound to their chairs and everything. The spirits free them within seconds. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah, so this spirituality, this form is coming back, and since I'm 15, I'm doing that. I have worked, of course, all my life until approximately 8 years ago, when I met my wife, and we decided to, that with the spirits to share with the world, and we both quitted our jobs. We both had pretty high-profile jobs. I worked for nearly 10 years for a huge American-French company. I was part of a huge startup activity in Germany when Blizzard Entertainment was fusing with Sierra Cocktail in Germany, and we were bringing... So I only want to say with this, I was for a long time in regular jobs and was doing that in my private environment. And 8 years ago, the spirits said, we have reached a point, you should share it with as much people as you can. And Julia and me, that was quite a difficult decision, as you can imagine, from the security of a paid job going into the insecurity of the spiritual market.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we did it, and until Corona hit us, everything was fine.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But you look well. I'm happy. Your health is well.
Yeah. No. I rescued a spirit, and this spirit turned out to be my savior. Let me show you this spirit.
Okay.
Wait. Where is it?
What should that be? Yes, or a doggy, or I don't know what we are going to see.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kai has an animal at home like we have a cat. Let's see. Yes, look at this. Gorgeous.
Here is the spirit I rescued.
Oh my goodness.
And now she's rescuing me.
She is lovely. Look at her. What a nice face. What's her name?
I don't hear you, Nonneke, because I have put off my headphones.
Okay.
I bring her back, okay?
Yes, okay. Oh, so sweet, adorable. Oh my God.
Yeah.
She is lovely.
So she is a hair monster, though.
She is lovely. What's her name?
Ella.
Ella?
Ella.
Ella. Ella.
From Caramella, because her color is caramel. Yeah.
So, and how did she cross your path?
Since Corona switched us off since end of February, I sat for months on my sofa and became fatter.
Oh, you too.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, I have that in mind since I lost my dog 10 years ago. But we were so fulfilled with our work. And actually we believe that until end of the year, we won't be able to truly reinstall what we had before. So I will enjoy the time with the dog more or less daily until then. And then I have a very, very dear neighbor. And this neighbor woman will take every single time the dog when we have to travel.
Oh, that's a good arrangement.
Oh, yes. It is.
Very good.
She's retired and has nothing to do. And so that's perfect.
But how did Ella came in your home? I want to know only that.
Julia and me, we were looking for a dog that, for specific reasons, was not wanted, had no chance to be adopted. We said, don't let us take a young dog. Let us take an old dog that hangs in the dog shelter for years, and let us give every 4 years, approximately. Ella is now 8. She will become approximately 12. That we can give her 4 more beautiful years. She has a big tumor on her back.
Oh my God.
And that's why nobody was taking her. And we heard that when she was 2, she was given into the dog shelter because the family was moving away and they were not wanting to take her with them.
No.
Yes, so it's with 3.
So that was great that you did that. Wonderful.
Oh yeah. But imagine that with 3 she came in the dog shelter and she was there 6 years. In the last 2 years, she was the whole day in a little dog hut because she could not bear the barking and the fighting of the other dogs. So she would be dying there. And Julia and me, we saw her and we said, this is the dog.
So I hope with our introduction with dear Ella, that a lot of people who are watching this, hearing this, will think by themselves, maybe we can save also a dog or a cat who is waiting.
Oh yeah. Put her on the cover, Lonneke.
So you
Put her on the cover.
Absolutely, and you give a great example. So thank you for that, Kai.
Yeah, thank you. Julia as well. I mean,
And Julia,
is,
yes, of course.
Yeah.
About this physical mediumship and the times of the corona, it is very different. And of course, you are, members are with us now on Zoom from Terra Mystica. You are doing also very nice seances through the Zoom, don't you?
Yeah, not from Zoom.
No, it's something like Zoom.
Facebook. It's a Facebook live event.
Yes, I was there, and it's something similar.
Yeah.
It's something similar. Okay. How is that for you to work that way?
Yeah, it's something different. Since we, for the last. Altogether for the last 30 years, but specifically for the last 15 years, I was giving seances in such a short frequency, seance, and my biology has overtaken an energetic behavior according to this. And at the moment, I cannot deliver, I cannot serve to that need I have built up.
I understand.
My body wants to release energy.
Yes. So now you're running with Sorella. You need to get rid of the energy, no?
Exactly. But it's actually not the same form of energy, but
it's different. Of course, it's different.
And even the trance sessions is different.
Yes. But you're still sitting at home, of course.
Oh yes. And we really try to share special things. I mean, it's a 10 parts series. It's called The Alchemists Speak. It is this 15 years old spirit team, and they always have to say something surprising. And insofar, that might be quite entertaining. We had famous spirit guides from famous other mediums. We talked to extraterrestrials via ectoplasmic voice box.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
No, I haven't seen the last one, but I hope to be part of it soon. When is the next one?
Please have a look on the Julia will type it in.
Maybe if Julia bring you the date, you can say it later on as well.
Yeah.
So it's really a different time, and so we have also a different kind of conversation. And I had some questions from people. They sent it to me and some of the circle. Shall I just start with that today?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Is that okay with you? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we will see what. There we have a lot to talk. I know.
Yeah.
Okay. A lady Anna. She asked you, dear Kai, what is the reason people in the circle during a séance are not allowed to stretch their legs during that séance? The ghost can't fall over it, she says. I found it funny questions, and I think you would like to answer that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the materialized spirit, of course.
No, they mean if they are sitting. She means if you are sitting in a séance with you, everybody has to sit straight on the chairs. Keep your legs by yourself. And she wanted to stretch her legs. And she said, why can't I stretch my legs? Spirit can't fall over it. What's the point? That's what she's telling.
I mean, it's not necessarily about falling over it, but our spirits have a form of physicality. And when they approach the humans, they do that very, very, very carefully and respectful. And when you have your legs far outstretched in the room, they won't achieve to come near to you. They have a physicality, so they cannot, like a translucent spirit, like a transparent spirit, like from the movies. No. Ours. That's why people are wanting to come into our seances. They want to experience the materialized spirit.
Absolutely.
And the materialized spirit collides with the foot that is far out in the room, and he won't reach your upper body. He won't be able to touch your...
So it's not that they cannot fall over her feet if she does that, no problem by that, but the chance is limited for her to be reached.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I think that answer will do for her.
Oh, I think so.
Yes, so we pass on to the next one, and it comes from Henny. You know Henny, of course, from circle.
Oh yes.
He says, "Dear Kai, how did the contact with the alien Ptah come about? And the next question of him is, does Hans Bender play a role in this, or were these contacts already present with you?"
I mean, we believe that all the spirits that sooner or later speak in a mediumistic effort, that they have been with us in a way and form anyway before. But when you are activating mediumship in your fate, in your world, then these spirits take a voice and start to speak. And we learn very quickly that there is a spirit team in the forefront that seems to overtake very obvious duties in the seance room. For example, a part of the spirit team is responsible for healing. A very obvious thing when we work with spirits, healing is always very close. There is another part of the spirit team that is responsible to look for the mood of the sitters, that people don't become frightened and so forth. And they regulate the energy when people start to become frightened. And another part of the team is responsible for achieving higher spirit contact. Spirits that are from their dimensional embedding state in a location where our world is somehow embedded. Yes.
Yes.
So this world, our world, is embedded in another dimension, but this goes bigger and bigger and bigger. And there is one part of the team responsible to reach out into these higher interconnected realms. Yeah, and another part is responsible, for example, as a last example, is responsible for the altering or changing the physical energy we can work forward with the people, to change that physical energy also into healing energy.
Yes.
So, but behind this forefront of spirits, we know that absolutely we cannot oversee it. It is so vast. All the dynamics that happen in the seance will be in between the people, and in the people, so in the people and in between the people, as a group, between the people and the spirits, and so forth. It is a vast...
Absolutely, yes.
So, and for all these many dynamics, there are spirits in some way or form involved and responsible, and so forth. And Ptah, I believe he came through in a very, very, as soon as we had started to work with trance, he came forward and claimed to be a doorkeeper, a master doorkeeper or gatekeeper, and he claimed that interdimensional communication attempts, like from us human beings with spirits of all sorts and forms, he does deal with this, but he does deal also with, as the responsible personality, he deals with a lot of other groups that do these attempts And these other groups, they are widespread in a time-space continuum that is also has turned from a universe into a multiverse. And she says, in the meantime, there have been so complex interconnections that we have to overlook that, because information might be given from a time point in space into the past, and it would change the past, and in the following it would change the future from which the message is coming from. A so-called time-space paradoxon would be happening. And he claims that for the master doorkeepers it is the main duty to avoid any form, even if it is the slightest paradoxon, it has to be avoided. But at the same time, he claims, he is a human being living on Zeta Reticuli. And that bears so many amazing information he has given us over the last 15 years.
If I may interrupt you, it's okay?
Oh, yes.
Because it's a lot of information that you share, of course.
Yeah, I
know. He claims to have been a human walking on the earth. Yes, I'm right?
And he claims that when at one location in time space a human race or the human being is evolving into an evolution, on planet Terra, like on Earth.
Yes.
Then that send so many powerful ripples into time space that it is very, very probable that at another point in time space, thousands of light years away, another human race starts to exist.
Of course. That's really a possibility.
Oh yes.
Absolutely. I agree with you.
Since we know quantum physics, on quantum level it does happen, unquestionably.
Of course.
So
even we can exist on different levels, so
and that absolutely. And he says on Zeta Reticuli there is a human race existing, which is in the meantime not at all looking like us, because they have developed, but under totally different environments. But he said we have the same biology, and he claims to be 6,000 years old, so the biology must have been massively changed. A human being that has the capability to be 6,000 years old. He claims to have been on Earth before during the Sumerian Egyptian high culture here on Earth. And talking about that, he reminded us that we have that ideas of aliens coming down onto Earth and inspire the human being somehow, that we do this step forward in evolution. He said, that's not really true. He says, these human races are all interconnected, even though they partially don't even know from each other, but they are interconnected. And when one species is doing a step forward, or maybe coincidentally or not, maybe at 3 locations at the same time, somewhere far out there, that may influence the human species on Earth. And the evolutionary step forward in the multiverse happens to be mirrored in a cultural step forward. And he said, so we were there, we extraterrestrials were there. There was the extraterrestrial from Zeta Reticuli, but we have not caused this move forward in human evolution, we have secured it. We were there to observe it. We were there to ensure that this evolution was taking place with the human being on Earth.
Okay. Am I understanding correctly? I'm not sure that I am, but am I understanding correctly that in a way it's a kind of synchronicity with our planet and other dimensions? Through synchronicity, it has effects on Earth here, what, by example, they are doing there, and other way around. That can be possible.
Yeah.
We influence each other in a way.
Exactly.
And they, if I'm listening well, I'm not sure. I'm listening, but understanding is something different. That you mean that they help us with our life here.
They helped us to make that evolutionary step between the Sumerian and the Egyptian high culture. At that time, the human race had made an enormous step forward in regards to becoming a civilization, or to install high-profile, high-culture civilizations on Earth. The Sumerians and the Egyptians.
Okay.
They implemented in their culture things that have not been on Earth before.
Yes. And why are they not doing that now?
Nobody claimed that they are not doing it now.
Okay. Then I have understanding. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And did I saw it well that they also talk through a voice box from ectoplasma through you?
Oh yes.
This is amazing.
Oh, yes.
Tell us about it, please.
The voice box is a seance room artifact that was happening to appear with many well-known mediums, much more than we have encountered in books, because we know these few mediums we have encountered in books, they were really an exception. There were thousands more of them. Not one book has ever mentioned them, but they were active in their communities, and you may find periodicals, or you may find a private collection of monthly publications of a very active group in a part of a city. So voice boxes happen to appear much more than from the literature.
Yes.
It is, yeah.
Yes.
So
but,
only if you in literature.
Yes, but can you explain to a listener maybe who does even not know what is a voice box and what can you expect from it? I know it,
Yes.
but maybe there are viewers that would love
Yeah.
to hear it from you.
Yeah, and it is important and intriguing what the voice box does and what the spirits claim what it is. It is a true piece of ethereal technology, if you wish so. It is an enhancer for the human voice box, yes. And with this enhancement, or even its substitution sometimes, it is capable to make ethereal voices audible.
But if you, by example, with trance speaking, if I do trance speaking, it comes through my mouth. Mm-hmm. But with a voice box, it passes your mouth, doesn't it?
Oh yes.
It doesn't use your stemband, the voice.
Yes, sometimes they claim they do even use the human voice box in a interconnected, because the voice box is set here.
Most of the time, yes.
Mm-hmm. And they claim that sometimes from both parts modulations do interfere, and from the interference things become audible.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
So that's amazing, but you are right. Many times, and this is the typical thing, is the voice box imitating the human voice box. It's a little bit smaller. The space, the resonance space that is in our human case, the mouth and parts of the lung and the
yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
In the back, the section in the back of the
Yes.
mouth. So the voice box has maybe only 2/3 of that size. So the voices that comes through the voice box are in the first place sounding thinner than a human voice. But sounding thinner, yes, the voice box is capable to make beforehand not displayable or not depictable voice mannerisms of spirits or of extraterrestrial communicators audible. So for the first time with the voice box we can hear specific voice mannerisms, not necessarily speech mannerisms, voice mannerisms that, for example, may come from a very strange build of an alien voice box. And interestingly, it became with Ptah, this main gatekeeper speaker, his voice sounds in a way massively peculiar and massively alien.
Wow.
We love to listen to it, even though it's really hard to understand. And the voice box is capable to make that audible. It sounds very thin, as if you are talking into a box or something like that.
Yes.
But at the same time, you hear that crazy voice. How is that sounding as if somebody speaks underwater or something like that?
Yeah. So,
really strange.
Kai, so they can use the voice box only, but they can also make it use of it with your own vocal cords together.
Yeah, they claim that they sometimes use both builds. Yes. And I wanted to add something else. You had asked for the specific role of Hans within the appearance of the gatekeeper. There is a very special role of Hans because not having the voice box at hand in earlier years, Hans channeled Ptah.
Aha.
Yeah?
Yes.
So Ptah came through Hans, Hans came through me.
Yes,
yeah?
yes, that's the way it works.
Yeah,
isn't it? Yes.
absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, that's
I mean,
marvelous.
I mean, for the traditional spiritualists, that must sound horrible. I call it progressive spirituality.
Why? It's so. Doesn't sound horrible. It sounds me more that it's more even very controlled.
Yes, but you don't again simply because the alien is part of that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they cannot take it.
Do you mean what we know, what we have understand? But isn't it so? If we don't have understanding of something, we judge it. And if we get more understanding of our own experiences, and I believe, Kai, it was one of the questions that followed, I know, that nowadays in many seance rooms around the world, even in ours, we saw now and then, we didn't have it often, because I'm not calling for it, but there are coming some, let's say, extraterrestrials in the seance room. So they are letting them know that they are here, not only in a few, but in more seances, I believe now. Last year, yeah.
Oh, sure.
So people will get more understanding. It will grow, I believe. If it has a purpose, why not?
Yeah, I truly believe, after all what we have been taught by the spirits about the build of consciousness, we are connected with all these aliens, latestly in this big oneness.
Yes.
And there are other theoretical schemes that claim that these aliens we encounter here, that these aliens are actually under circumstances that they are us under specific circumstances, because
there are entities maybe formed also from human beings, or
yeah.
connected with the human being.
Yeah,
yes, of course, that's possible. Yeah. Why not?
I thought on that plane, there is that life spark that is taking on a cloth for a life.
Yes.
It goes through life and it then puts that cloth away and is pure life source energy. And then decisions and cosmological dynamics are pushing that life spark into another plane of existence. Mm-hmm. So, but actually, as we know, this is not truly happening in that following order, because the experience of that things happen one after another is an illusion of us human beings.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, it is that evolution thing, it is that survival skill to sort the day in time packages, to be capable to be at the waterfall when the mammoth is there, that I can spare it at the right time. So we had to make an understanding of an ongoing calculatable day. And from this, our perception created the illusion of an experience of a time that steps and marches forward. So, but the spirits claim that this idea that this spark lays down a cloth, that is only in the perspective of the awareness with the time frame, right? Yes. Because if we take the time frame away, then everything happens here at the same time.
Exactly.
And maybe, the spark that once was me, and in the future, in my imagined future, becomes an alien. When that happens all the time, all at the same time, the door here in my apartment could open, and me as an alien, my life spark as a future alien, may step in, so.
Yes. It's all kinds of possibilities. And what is very interesting and difficult, I believe, is this oneness where you're talking about. This is also my belief that it's one big consciousness that we are part of. And to get more understanding of it is very, very difficult, because we are thinking separate. We're thinking in that way. If you energetically look in that way, that you are me and I am you, on a certain level. If we are all connected on that way, so this is very difficult truly to understand. What I know, if I may share it with you, my personal guide, who was my double, let's say my etheric double, is always there, and after my life, he shows my life back, and I will become one. Yeah. We will become one again. But during my life, entities develop next to my double. And if I am very interested in guides who are animals, I believe the creations can be created, and I can meet my spirit animal. You understand? So I can also maybe create immensely more than only that during my life.
Yeah,
A lot of entities can be with me, helping me to accomplish my goals in life.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they are. If they're for the good purpose, it's maybe nice. If it's a less good purpose. So there are so many possibilities. It's amazing, and it's very interesting, and I hope to get more understanding of this oneness.
Yeah, maybe one last, because specifically from Ptah, we have been given so many thought bombs. I mean, that with the reincarnation was one of his thought bombs among many. And he, for example, claims what we call the Big Bang, the start of our perceivable three-dimensional physical universe. He claims that at the same time that universes cannot simply appear, there has to be a reflector that is experiencing this universe. Otherwise, the universe does not exist.
Absolutely.
If nobody does observe it. So
yes.
He said, when there is a Big Bang in the physicality, there has to be a Big Bang in consciousness as well.
Yes.
And he said, it is misleading to believe humans would be a species, or Pleiades are a species, or elephants are a species. He says there is only one true species that is existing in your universe, and the name of this species is called consciousness. And the purpose of it all is a natural need of that consciousness field, that Big Bang, parallelly to the physical world, to perceive it. Otherwise, it could not happen. He said.
But do you mean that if I know that you are there, so I acknowledge you are there. If I haven't seen you, or people haven't seen you, how can there be an understanding that you are here? So we need.
Okay. This is
it's not the same.
Nice. This is only a theoretical difficulty, because we cannot see the wind either, but we know it is there. But I just had lost the train of thought. I wanted to close the circle of it was. It was this consciousness is perception. Oh yes, and Ptah says, this only true species, this field, a massive field of consciousness that is capable to perceive the universe around it. This big field is driven to explore this universe, and in this attempt to explore it, it throws seeds all around the universe. One seed are human beings on Terra. Other seeds are extraterrestrials on Vega, let's say. And he says that all these seeds are feeding this main field. There is a permanent data stream coming from every seed consciousness had sent out. And this sending out means consciousness is projecting individual life into different planes of physical reality. So, and we are the result of consciousness being sent into the three-dimensional reality in which we are living here at the moment. Every single one of us, we are all nurturing an ancient navigator of the cosmos, a massive being which is trying to explore in an unbelievable attempt the universe by spreading life into it. And another totally crazy claim from Ptah is, so you all are feeding now this consciousness. What it was his main goal, it is written in his DNA, in his massive consciousness, oneness. So, somewhere in time-space, this consciousness field has achieved, through all the data streams, which are permanently sending information about how the world looks like, and how it is to live in this environment and that environment. So somewhere in time-space, the informational density of that field is so high that it shifts from information, from consciousness, over into a new Big Bang. And from all the information that was beforehand collected in that field, it releases itself into another new reality. And this other new reality is built on behalf of all what per data stream was sent from all the different locations into the morphogenetic field. So this is a very evolutionary, progressive form to explore the universe and to evolve further as consciousness mass that jumps from universal, from reality bubble to reality bubble, even though it is more or less responsible for these bubbles anyway. So these are so fascinating things this entity is telling us.
It's very fascinating.
Yeah.
And of course, it's also to listen to you and to listen to Ptah. It's about being open-minded and being willing to go with you, with the philosophy that comes with it.
Yeah.
And if you are in the seance room, during the seance, I believe when you also experience the voice box and experience ectoplasm that comes with it and experience the whole picture, then there is more than only philosophy. Then it comes close towards you.
Oh yeah.
And that means that if you give it, if our listeners who think maybe this, what's it all about? If you truly listen and truly want to feel it and to experience this, it's coming closer to that realms. And not to be afraid. I believe that's one of the first things that is very important. And because people think in, and I'm one of those human beings, we think in good and bad, in contradictions. So in that way we create in our minds of a lot of stories about aliens on the internet. Sorry that I'd call it that way, but I believe sometimes it's made up stories as well. And there is a lot of negativity and fear-making from each other for watch out for, anyway, everything that came from...
Yeah, for political reasons, very many times.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, for example, the right-wing politics in the States, for example, have obviously attacked the spiritual community with a lot of false information.
Oh yes, of course. That's what humans do.
Yeah.
That's what humans do. They can.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so but my own experience, and I can't only talk for myself, and I have said it before. Everything we experience from the spirit world, also the few seances that we experienced with extraterrestrials, everything came from this unconditional love, who doesn't have his opposite. There is no fear. The only fear that there is, and the only crazy thoughts we make come from our humans. And all the negativity come from the humans. I never experienced it, and I hope it, no, I don't hope, I believe it will stay that way, because only through this unconditional love it's possible, that's truly what I believe, to have contact with the spirit world, with the world of the entities and the other worlds that we are connected with. I don't believe there's another way to connect with them. Not for us, because we had only positive experience, and I'm already more than 60 years old, and I have no awful or fearful experience with spirit. So so don't fear it. Why should we?
Yeah, absolutely. That is the right attitude. You know, of course, that I have insofar a slightly different stance, because I am doing for such a long time this treatment of people who suddenly started out of nothing, being in the high development of their spirituality, and suddenly, from one day to the other, they experienced harassing disturbances.
Yes, but isn't this more a kind of poltergeist? Is it not what is connected with the human? The energy is connected with, I believe that. I helped few people with these problems, and of course from the spiritual they could help, and of course the entities are there, but there were disturbances in the person themselves. I believe so. I believe so.
So one thing is definitely right. That when you have a problem with attaching spirits, potentials, attaching spirits, or other entities that manipulate you, then there was always actually, truly, a gate in you that let them in. If you not had that gate open, they could not get in. But in many of our cases, the gates of the patients had opened under circumstances they could not have avoided it.
Yes, but Kai, the few people that I helped with this, it had always to do with their thoughts and feelings. That's why they couldn't avoid it, and they couldn't. Sometimes it was very hard to give it a switch, a turn.
Yeah.
If they wanted themselves to make a switch, then sometimes it's hard. Don't you believe so?
Yeah. Let me, for example, give you another example. Even though we could even say in this example, there was a theoretical readiness or the possibility because of specific circumstances that let the spirit in. Imagine following an episode, an Australian very rich man was living in Australia, and his beautiful, much younger wife was always asking the husband, I would like so very much to go to Brazil, to John of God, and let me be treated there. I cannot at the moment remember what she had, but she had a serious illness. I believe she had only 2 or 3 moments left to live, and they, sooner or later, she had persuaded the husband, and they drove to Brazil, and very quickly the lady became something like released from her spiritual pain or what it was. But the husband, who had no idea of spirituality at all, this husband must have seen things happening there that left him behind so vulnerable, so insecure, that, when mass healings are being done, then very much often the rescued, no, not the rescued, the spirits that have helped the rescue, they are not properly cared for, and they can seemingly truly overjump onto a person who has no idea what is going on.
Yes, I believe you, and I believe you, but I believe also that there is fear involved then. I can imagine if the husband saw all these things that he had fear.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is clear, he became massively frightened because...
That's what I mean. That's the open door.
Yeah, of course. And that worsened it. It becomes worse and worse.
Absolutely, yes.
And within the next 4 or 5 years, this man totally disintegrated.
Yes, I know.
They're in psychiatry,
yes,
under heaviest medication. And this man was totally normal. Yeah, was a high-rank elitist.
Absolutely. No, it has nothing to do with that, of course. I know I wrote in my book about one patient, or anyway, she did not become a true patient of mine, but she was so in let's say, this negativity, that I call it, the spirits who are, she was communicating with all the time, were almost taking her breath. She hardly couldn't live anymore. She even didn't want help, not help from love or from angels anyway. She almost tried to spit on me and so on.
Oh,
so I could not help this poor lady, and I hope there was someone else. I sent her to someone else. I know my limitations, but there are a lot of people, of course, who has also come in the psychiatry, who are absolutely mentally ill, who need that help. But there are also a lot of them who also need spiritual help, and they're not getting it. And they're not getting it. So this is very sad. This is very sad. That's why I try to help a few of those people. I put out the intention, and they came on my path. But I find it very, very difficult. And it's something. And it's a very big thing that can overcome someone. If you have, I think that's why I think to have knowledge from what's going on is, if you're open for that, and if someone is open for that, that's the first step to the cure.
Yeah.
To understand this. And even if I come back to the seances, if I may, what I love so much about your seances is also that you give some nice introduction to people who come to attend to your seances. You truly give them information that they can have some understanding what they're going to experience.
Oh wow!
And
and
that is wonderful. And you do that every time, and you do it so well. In that way, I think you take so much care of the people who came to your seances, because there are the last seances that I was present were so immense and intense that if people did not have understanding of what was going on, they could become very frightened. Instead, they come very, they delighted, happy, because they had understanding of what was going on. And that's because of what you do. And now I'm talking about it, I love also very much the physical medium Scott Milligan. And I know a total different approach, and a lot of similarities are there as well. That's what I believe when I visit them. I saw also a few of his seances. And but he when I was there, he did not give explanation at forehand from what to expect. And I think this is so important to do so. For everyone.
Yeah,
Even if you have most of the mediums or trance healers who are coming to join the seances. Because we know that in one of your seances, if I remember well, I do remember it well, there was even a good mental medium present.
Yeah.
And she already was she came to your seances to tell everybody afterwards how that it was fraud. That was her startup to come. So if you have contact with the spirit world yourself and you're a mental medium, you even can be so much frightened or have no understanding yet, because he's a great mental medium. I'm talking about. Absolutely.
How can that be? How can that be? How can he be a great mental medium?
I can tell you. I can tell you. In our seances, I always try to give first mental medium messages all the time to prove and then we go on with the seance that I love.
Yeah.
Yes, but I start to do it not so much as I used to.
Yeah.
Because I'm always proving. But what happened the first time that I attended to a seance, I was so much busy with watching and experiencing what was going on that I could not make myself connection with the spirit world. It was not possible because I got too much impressions. So, for that purpose, I can understand that maybe she could not make contact with the spirit world because she was occupied by looking and experiencing things she did not understand. I am, of course, talking about someone else than I am, but I could get understanding of that in that way, because in the first time I also find it difficult to feel my loved ones, but the times after it has been at 6, I believe, seances of you, it was no problem. I always felt the spirit world. So maybe that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for that we can forgive her, but it's the way it is.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this would never be a road to go when I visit the efforts of a spiritual brother or sister. I would never, under no circumstances, come out of it and would publicly make such claims. Because, firstly, from one experience, I am not justified to evaluate anything.
You're totally right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
But everyone is somewhere, and you have this understanding, and she has other understandings, but not yet this one. So it will come, I believe so, in time. And I was talking about Scott Milligan. His seances are also great. And I'm fantasizing a minute ago that how amazing it would be if you and Scott could jointly give some seances in the future. How fantastic would that be? Imagine, and who am I, that when the ego differences can put aside and maybe mutual prejudice, and the illuminate love of the spirit will bring you both together. How special that will be. It's just a dream of mine that I spontaneously share with you now. Forgive me for thinking out loud. But because, both people from such a different backgrounds, great in physical mediumship, totally different. Yeah, and it would be amazing. Yeah. But anyway, just leave it. It was a slip of my tongue.
Yeah.
Say never, never.
Oh, no.
Say never.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Shall I go on with the questions?
Oh, yeah.
And maybe. I would love to talk about it again, and I hope we will. About Ptah and all this.
I hope so too.
Oh, yes.
You've seen the images of the voice box, right?
Yes, of course. Okay. Wonderful pictures.
Also those of the second day, right?
I believe so.
Okay.
It's amazing. Really amazing.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
It is.
And I will tell everyone to look at it, of course.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and I will show it in the video. Eva, one of our participants in the circle, who happens to be my daughter, as you know, has some questions. It's almost a letter she wrote to you, but I try to start it. Dear Kai, I can make recordings in total dark and almost dark with my iPhone. This is without flash. Do you also use that in your seances? And Kai, our spirit team is very happy that I can take photos and short videos in red light during seances. It's good to know that the spirit team share our desire for this, so there is no obstacle for our spiritual friends. They also hope for better results in the near future. And of course, Kai, I follow in every seance again the instructions of our medium for this. So that was her question, if you also make pictures in total darkness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not total darkness, not necessarily, but in dark red light, let's say. And these pictures come out very, very powerfully. For example, the voice box images were done with that function. With a normal camera or with a normal mobile, you would have seen nothing.
No.
And this new iPhone technology really, it's actually a German a telescope inventor.
Okay.
Who delivers the lenses which are involved here and the technicals behind it. What did I want to say? So I hope we will benefit from it in the future many more times.
Yes, I know this is not her question, but I know she also makes pictures in total darkness, and then she has a function on that phone that you have, and that she lit it up, and then she see also entities.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it's nice to look at.
Yeah.
And I've seen them.
This is of course ITC, you know, and this is ITC.
I've seen them. Yeah. Okay. What she asked again. For most phenomena, they need total darkness. She said, we understand this, but most people and some scientists don't have really the right insight for this. Do you agree with me, she says?
Oh yes, and a good example was, without wanting to come too close to nobody's and to nobody's
I hardly cannot see you anymore. I know you're there, but it's getting dark.
Oh yeah, why that?
Yes. Oh, I love to hear you. That's most important. But
this is the powerful energy around me, Lonica.
Yeah.
No, but this is a good question, because we experienced that so many times, and I found a good example for the inability, and I experienced it myself personally, was last week when you was trying to bring the value of the work of the people who we all have the birthright to communicate with spirits on all the many levels. When you tried to bring the value of what you do with your circle, all the activities, and specifically here in Israel, transcommunication, closer to a scientist who is not capable to think over his laboratory. I really sensed Dean Reddin's inability to expand his experience or his readiness, his openness towards your experiences and towards your work. And this is exactly what I experienced with him when he sat in my seances.
Yes, it was last month I interviewed him. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Always coming back to the scientific method.
But
Yes,
it's the understanding. It's the understanding and the knowledge. If you have some books or you read some information about why it's in darkness and what is happening and what are the don'ts and so.
But chewing only always on these theoreticals don't bring us further.
No, but he now you're talking about Dr. Dean Radin, and I know I have truly the feeling that he's a very open-minded scientist, and of course you cannot get all the information on so many levels that you are busy with, but if he got more involved with seances, if he want, he will get more understanding and knowledge. I believe so.
That maybe.
Yeah.
I felt a really sensible attitude of what you are doing there with your instrument, the transcommunication, that cannot compare to my theoretics and to my...
Of course, but understand the world that he comes from, that he even is at your seances. That's already amazing.
Then you should signal a little bit more openness, I think. But maybe I have interpreted that falsely.
Yes. And for the first time, if you attempt, I don't know if he experienced a lot of seances with you, but I don't know how many.
I mean, that was already 2013, and already then he had that name of a scientist who is open towards that, and he behaved so closed up to me.
Yes. Maybe it's also fair, and not have the possibilities to inform himself and to dare to ask maybe not the right questions that I inside truly want to ask. Is it possible that you have a little light around you?
Yeah, I don't understand this effect at all. I should be. Why has that done? Why is my camera so dark? I don't know.
Or maybe
because I have the same light here all the time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, of course.
Some light, I think, went out.
I have no idea what happens. That turns so dark here. Wait, I switch an additional light on.
Yes.
I don't hear you for a second.
We're almost at the end, but not totally at the end of the interview, so stay with us. And we like to see Kai, of course, in bright light. So, Kai.
Oh, I'm back. I'm back.
Oh, you're back, totally back. Let's see. So she said, so you agree with that. Can you explain to me more about avoiding behavior of some spirit phenomena during the seance? I asked this is Eva, I asked it because we have, by example, table seances, we can experience and see this, and when they spirits
we can experience what?
Table seances with the tables. Okay. We can experience that and see that, and when they touch us, we can feel it. But when we sometimes see spirit or lights, then the next moment it's already gone. The medium said to me about it, Eva says, look at this as if you are not looking, then it will stay longer. Mm-hmm. But Kai, I do not understand this all, says Eva. Please can you explain more to me about this?
Oh yes.
That's her question.
Mm-hmm. We know for a long time that the perception field is intervening, and so it is influencing the psychokinetic field negatively. It is somehow weakening it. From parapsychological field research, we know that every time when the observance level was tried to be increased, that the phenomena started like purposefully avoid observation. That must have to do with some kind of like an observer effect or something, that you are influencing the physicality of the experiment with your perception, that you parallelly to your perception weakening the phenomena. That's one of the main reasons that darkness was being chosen as a necessary environment to keep physical phenomena up and observe them to a degree, because maybe you start in darkness or maybe you start in low red light. The goal is to increase that up to an acceptable value. So you have to swallow that in the first place. You have to work with diminished forms of light. And when you then have achieved results, you can increase light conditions step by step by step by step. So with me and my seances, there is an additional what's the English word? You know, when it makes in your house boom and all the lights go off, something jumped out. How is that called? The fuse. When the fuse jumps out, you know, there is a circuit.
Okay. Yes. Something
you know what I mean, right?
It broke. Yes.
Yeah. When you take when you put a damaged bulb into the lamp.
Yes.
Boom.
Yes, of course.
So I have the feeling when my spirits and my energy are doing that, and I don't see it, then this can go on forever. The moment I turn myself around and look, booms, all forms, all trumpets and
so it is avoiding. It is avoiding. When you look, like example, I can now see you. I'm not looking at you, but I see you.
Exactly.
That's the best way to observe, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So I'm looking slight next to it.
Let me tell you that in parapsychological field research, a main parapsychological thesis was brought forward, and it is the so-called defocus relation, it is called, or in German, die Unschärfe relation, and it was in the field research of famous parapsychologist Walter of Lukadu. He is a main capacity in regards to genuine poltergeist cases, and he started to work with Hans Bender. Hans Bender actually was his godfather in regards to that, and he went through so many genuine poltergeist cases, and there were always massive phenomena, but when observers from the outside entered into the main experience structure, mostly families,
and then
the first weakening of the phenomena started.
Okay.
But still, Lukadu came into the families, and the families said, "Oh, what is happening now is weak. You cannot imagine what happened last week and last week before.
Yes.
But when you came, everything weakened."
Yes.
But for Lukadu, he still could observe things.
Yes.
But wait, 1 second.
Yes, I wait, of course.
But then he started to put the camera onto a tripod, and he recognized with the camera everything ceased. the phenomena seemed to avoid the camera.
No, you're
Oh,
kidding.
oh yes, and
How can it be?
yeah, wait, and even if he could, and even if the phenomena was showing itself, and he could jump to the camera and photograph it, for the first time in the existence of the camera had failed. So there seemed to be a quantum field that enabled the system between observer and phenomena to purposefully avoid. Even the camera was involved and was not functioning right.
Yes.
Then he looked the whole day through his camera. Only 1 second he looked away, and in that second the phenomena was going on.
Really?
So he started to think about that.
Yes,
and he recognized there is a system behind that.
Yes, it must be.
And how can I avoid that system? And he started to observe the phenomena through a mirror. He didn't focus onto the phenomena. He focused through a mirror, or he unsharpened the lens, so not focusing but defocusing.
Yes.
And suddenly he could film phenomena as he has never filmed phenomena before. So, and this is the same with me sitting in the cellar.
And who was this?
His name is Walter von Lucadou.
Lucadou?
Lucadou. He's today he's in every TV show about paranormal phenomena.
Oh.
He has at the University of Freiburg, at the former center of Hans Bender, who had there his borderline psychology center. And in this center today is a counseling desk for people from the German-speaking environment. Yes. Yeah, and that's why he is such a famous and in paraphysical phenomena involved science. Yeah.
Okay. So this is very interesting, and especially you're talking about, let's say, poltergeist effects.
And some persons are very skilled to do such, and we call this dissociative persons. It's a gift. It's not an illness. They mainly can do wonderful things. They are artists. They can get good relation to other persons and such things. And of course, you need an observer, a person who can see the poltergeist, because it's a kind of stage where you can show something, namely your problem, in a symbolic way. And the final finding was that those persons are very robust. They do not get ill. So the good news are, a poltergeist is nothing which you should threaten. A poltergeist is something very nice. Nature has found a way to avoid a psychosomatic reaction which you would get if you do not have these abilities. So a poltergeist is nothing else than a psychosomatic reaction outside of the body of the focused person. So they do not go to a psychiatric clinic. They remain healthy, and this is a good thing. So exactly, we do not know the details of the process. We have some idea. We call this super fluctuation, but this is very complicated, and we need another 100 years to understand this in detail, but we know what a poltergeist is. Now, I hope the last letter will work now. This is a very fierce poltergeist, and the lady solved it. Well, I instructed her at the telephone, and she wrote me an email and described how she got rid of the poltergeist simply by knowing what I just told you. So can we get?
I think that I can make the fortunate report that the poltergeist has vanished. My first assumption after the telephone conversation was that the house does not like me, and I do not like the house. But since the phenomenon did not disappear, I thought that this cannot be the problem. And besides, this would have been a known problem. When I looked through my notes, I found that all objects which were destroyed had a relation to my mother. To explain this, I must say that my mom and I had a very close relationship. With no other person I have ever experienced that the line was occupied when I tried to phone her because she also tried to phone me. The first poltergeist phenomenon happened the night after Mother's Day this year. I was kicked by someone in bed. In this moment I thought, "Mom, help me." The same night, a vase on the table broke in 4 parts. It contained flowers for her. The photo that bounced against me showed Mom's dog. The flower pots that fell down were from her, and also the cupboard. The marble table which broke when the bookshelf tilted also had a relation to my mother. During these days, we had enough time to talk to each other, and my feeling that she was not well during the last few months was confirmed. Last year, she tried to commit suicide and had told me that she was desperate. She tried to move to us, but she saw no possibility to do this. Now we try to find a home for her. I am rather sure that this was the solution. Well, if you ask me now why I didn't find it earlier, I don't know. Yet it was so obvious.
Thank you. Now you
I
see.
want to thank you very much.
Okay. Now you see, it's not threatening if you have a poltergeist. Well, I wish you, if you once have a poltergeist, you are not threatened and you know you are well. Thank you very much.
But Eva is especially talking not about poltergeist effects, but effects from the spirit world during the seance, who are different, as you know, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, in poltergeist cases, the spirits are uncontrolled. In seances, the spirits are controlled.
Absolutely.
This is
the
main
big difference. Yes, absolutely.
But the energy is the same.
Yes.
The energetical background is the same.
I would love to talk to you also about this again.
Yeah.
It's because of the time, and I have much more.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry I couldn't ask all the questions, but I think what we talked about was wonderful and interesting.
Yeah, I hope so.
Oh, it was.
Thank you.
It was,
Thank
Kai. It was wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that.
Yeah, thank you, Lottie.
And
Thank you.
and thank all of us who gave the questions, and the others, I believe. I hope you have the patience next time. I will ask all the other questions to Kai.
Absolutely.
Maybe you can hear some of the friends of us who are listening with us through the Zoom. I will talk in Dutch one moment. Lieve schatten, zijn jullie daar? Kan de microfoon?
Ja.
Hallo.
Hi.
Hallo allemaal.
Hello.
Okay. Maybe you hear something, Kai?
Yeah, very thin.
Okay, but they're there. So, jongens, hebben jullie het allemaal goed kunnen volgen?
Zeker. Was very interesting.
Yes, very. Thank you for answering the questions.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's...
It was wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And Julia, behind the screens, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And yes, I wish you all well. Hope to speak to you again, dear Kai.
Yes.
And Julia, and keep on the good seance work, and give a hug from me to Ella.
Yeah, I will. And you're welcome.
Again, thank you again, and I truly hope to speak to you again.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much. Good day. Good night.
Good day. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, dear Kai. Bye.